Indra Hang Subaji.
Thank you, Madam. I rise in support of the demand of grant for Ministry of Education. It's overwhelming to see our union government and the Ministry of Education putting forward the budget of this year based on National Education Policy 2020, the new education policy. I must congratulate and thank Honorable Minister for outstanding leadership at the time of pandemic. The ministry did all the possible work to help the students. However, we realized that despite all our efforts, despite all the efforts from union government and the ministry, there was a clear digital divide among the students. And this is because that we have so much of disparity in the economy of our country. I'm happy to state that during the budget speech by Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharamanji, she stated that 15,000 schools will be qualitatively strengthened for national education policy. I hope that this all the 15,000 schools, and most of them will be from the rural areas of our country, because the implementation of national education policy is going to be a humongous task for us, not only for the government of India, but the government of the different states and the representatives like us. Because we know that all the schools, the primary schools, the secondary schools, and other schools in the rural areas still lack the basic facility that is needed to implement the national education policy. Since national education policy aims at having autonomous institutions, we have a huge task at hand. At present, not more than 3% of colleges run PhD programs, and not more than 35% of colleges run PG programs. Now, if this vision of the national education policy is to be implemented in a proper manner, then we should focus on upgrading colleges and those institutions which lack basic infrastructure like laboratories and libraries so that those institutions, the colleges in the far-flung areas, can also provide PhD programs and PG programs. We must also focus that these institutions get better facility for the students studying there, so that when the national education policy is implemented and when the autonomous institution is created out of that existing institution, that the students must not face any kind of difficulty. In Sikkim, we have upgraded the colleges to run PG courses in the existing government colleges, so that when the national education policy is implemented, we can have those autonomous colleges. So we have a huge task. Implementing national education policy is not going to be easy, because this is a humongous task ahead. And if this was implemented in phase-wise from the very beginning, it would have been easy. But we are coming for an education reform after 3 decades, more than 3 decades. So abruptly reforming this existing education system is not going to be easy. After decades of delaying, this government has come with the great optimism, and we appreciate that. And we, from all the states, and of course the representatives from different parliamentary constituencies, come ahead to support the government in implementing this new national education policy. And of course, in Sikkim, we are always there, putting forward our students and their quality as our one of the most priority agendas in our state. In higher education, I must also put forward that accessibility is still an issue, because the gross enrollment ratio, the national gross enrollment ratio is 26%. Whereas the gross enrollment ratio for the scheduled tribes is only 17.2%, which indicates that the scheduled tribe, the students belonging to the scheduled tribe community, they still don't have the accessibility, because all the big institutions, all the huge institutions, main institutions, they are in the town areas, they are in the cities, so that the students belonging to that community, they cannot come to the cities so easily. So we cannot expect them to avail it, but we must help them avail it. Vocational education, as emphasized in national education policy, we must come forward with a concrete plan that how we are going to implement vocational education, because till date, no vocational education in the schools have been implemented in proper manner. We had some vocational subjects in the schools, but those vocational subjects were not implemented in a proper manner. Some subjects were in the school and they had no colleges to go forward. Some of the vocational subjects were in the college but were not implemented in the school. So these things have to be taken into account. Now, when I come to my parliamentary constituency, Sikkim, we are fortunate that we have one central university, and I'm grateful to the Honorable Minister that he has been always helpful to bring that Sikkim Central University with all the help that we have needed, we have always needed. But in the context of the Northeast India, including Sikkim, I would like to stress on one point, that the syllabus given by the CBSE and other national level boards, they don't include the history, the culture, and the geography of the northeastern India. So it seems that somewhere our students from the mainland India, they fail to understand where the northeastern states are and how they belong to India, because most of the states were later on being as a full-fledged state of India in the northeastern part of India. So this is very important that in the schools, especially in the board like the CBSE, ISC, and ICSE, that the history, geography, culture, and other aspects of northeastern India also be included and taught all over India, so that northeastern states don't feel the exclusion from rest of the country. Now, another important, I would like to request the Honorable Minister through you that Sikkim is a small state with just 7,096 square kilometers of area, out of which 46%, more than 45% of the area is protected area. We have Kanchenjunga National Park, one of the highest national parks in the world. This is a World Heritage Site. We have more than 7 wildlife sanctuaries, and all those areas are protected. But unfortunately, we don't have institutions. We don't have institutions which can provide research in forestry, which can provide research in wildlife, which can provide research in natural resources, medicinal plants. So I'd like to request the Honorable Minister through you, Madam, that he may kindly, the government may kindly consider setting up an institution, a research institution in Sikkim, which can focus not only on wildlife resources and other resources, but also on climate change, because we are there in the Himalayan state, and the world knows that the Himalayas and the Himalayan states are the hotspot of the climate change research. Thank you, Madam.